So we got some news earlier today. Kempney was traded to the Capitals, who after their 7-1 loss to the Blackhawks in their previous game decided, hey, we should probably get some defense. And Kempney had a pretty good game against them, so why not trade for him? Kempney goes to the Capitals for a conditional third-round pick. Whatever of the two third-round picks the Capitals have is better. That's the one that the Blackhawks will get. And that would be, comparing to the results of this game, the best news we'd get all day. Yeah.
Woohoo! We are in a snow week. Yes. Can't get any better.
Hello, welcome to Hawks Recap. Game 60 is over and done with. The big 6-0 ends up in a big L for the Hawks as they lose at home to the Kings by a score of 3-1. Apparently, it's tougher to score 7 goals against a team that's actually good on defense. Who'd have thunk? Now, in the recent games, the Hawks have actually done a pretty darn good job starting off fast, getting off to a good start, getting an early lead in the first period. That wouldn't be the case in this game. In fact, it would pretty much be the opposite. It didn't look good. The Kings came into this game playing like a team who actually had something to play for, and that makes sense. They're right in the thick of the playoff race, and they have a much more realistic chance of making the playoffs than the Hawks. But if the Hawks would have lost the other day to the Capitals and been on a 9-game losing streak heading into this game, it probably could have been very easy for the Kings to just take this game for granted, kind of like a trap game in a sense. But I think the Hawks' victory over the Capitals, the 7-1 drubbing of the Capitals, I think kind of woke the Kings up probably a little bit and said, hey, we can't take this team too lightly. We got to come out there with our A game and let's shut them down. And in the first period, they definitely did that. The Hawks just had a terrible time getting through just the neutral zone in this first period. They ended up finishing the period with 4 shots on net. That's not very good at all. The Kings, on the other hand, would triple that. They would get 15 shots in this first period, and they would take advantage of that. 8.5 minutes into the first period, the Kings with the puck in the offensive zone, forechecking. A couple of their guys are off changing. It's 2-on-5 for the Kings, but they win the board battle, and the Hawks are just standing around flat-footed defensively. Thompson gets the puck over to Mitchell, who just got onto the ice, just got into the zone, and he rips a slap shot. Clifford with the screen in front. Forsberg doesn't really ever see it, and it gets by him. It looked like Forsberg may have been clipped by Clifford as he came across to screen him. Could make the argument that he was interfered with, but Forsberg was outside the crease trying to play aggressively. The rules really don't favor his side on this, especially since it seemed like it was inadvertent contact. With the way things have been called this year, I have no idea what the call would have been after review, but no review, and this score is 1-0 in favor of the Kings. A little under 3.5 minutes to go in the first period. The Kings with the puck on the rush. They do a good job weaving their forwards, trying to create some space, trying to confuse the Blackhawks defense. Andreoff gets himself in front of net, and Gustafsson doesn't do a good job picking him up and taking away his stick. Andreoff tips home a shot past Forsberg, and it is 2-0 Kings. Terrible first 20 minutes for the Hawks, and they're paying for it on the scoreboard. Good news, though, is that the Hawks seem to play a 40-minute game most of the time, so they got the 20-minute bad part out of the way early, and time to play a good 40 minutes from here on out. Maybe we can make up the 2-goal deficit. But that really wouldn't happen. I would say the Hawks probably played about 30 minutes of decent hockey in this one. It took them about halfway through the second period to really kind of get their rhythm, get some momentum, finally penetrate the Kings' neutral zone defense, get into the offensive zone, get some chances. But before that even happens, 4 minutes into the second period, Dion Phaneuf rips home a slap shot on the power play to make it 3-0 Kings. And tough sledding from there on out, but the Hawks definitely did try to get back in this game. The Blackhawks were definitely extending themselves offensively to try and get back into this game in the latter half of the second period, but it would leave them exposed on the defensive end and led to some odd man rushes for the Kings. Thankfully, Dahlstrom did a really good job breaking up those odd man rushes. I don't think the Kings even got a single shot off on an odd man rush. Dahlstrom, I thought, had a fantastic game with the things he did defensively there and a couple other things he did. He also had an assist later on in the game. Just a real solid game from him. Speaking of assists, Dahlstrom making a great play not even 2 minutes into the third period. Intercepts a pass in the neutral zone after stepping up and takes it into the offensive zone. Rips a shot on net. goes off Quick's pad, huge rebound right in front, and Sharp is right there to pot home the rebound, and it's a 3-1 game. A big goal right at the beginning of the third period. It's a big first step on the road to try and get back into this game, try to tie it up. An early period goal like that, especially in the third, is always a good thing, and it looked like it gave the Hawks life. They would end up absolutely dominating third period, outshooting the Kings 13-3 in the period. Now, the Kings had a 3-0 lead going into the third, so they didn't really have to extend themselves or really try and get too much of offensive output in this third period, but the Hawks did everything they could to try and get back into this game. About 3 minutes into this third period, the Kings with a power play, but the Hawks PK unit very aggressive, and they actually create a 2-on-1 odd man rush for themselves. Taze and Saad, very reminiscent of 2015 Western Conference Final against the Kings, where in overtime Taze and Kane had an odd man rush, and Kane would bury the one-timer to send the Hawks into the Stanley Cup. This time, Saad gets the one-timer, but Quick makes the save somehow, and not only that, but he makes a second save, a follow-up effort from Saad just somehow doesn't go in. I think it just hits the tip of Quick's toe. But if that goes in, 2 goals in the first 4 minutes, essentially, of the third period to cut it down to a 1-goal game, that completely changes the outlook of this game. But it doesn't happen. Quick makes some remarkable saves here, and this remains a 2-goal game. The Hawks had a couple of other good chances. They had a lot of offensive zone time in this third period. They also had 2.5 minutes of extra man time with Forsberg pulled out of the net, but they just can't find a way to get that puck in the back of the net past Quick. And the Kings win this one 3-1, and the 1-game winning streak for the Hawks is over. So, yep, back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Mom's spaghetti. Up next for the Hawks, they continue their homestand against the Ottawa Senators. This will be the second and final time these two teams meet this year. The Blackhawks absolutely demolished Ottawa back in January. Both teams really struggling this year, but the Senators are a team the Hawks should be able to beat once again. But for them to do that, they'll have to play more than 30 minutes like they did in this game. So I kind of touched on the Kempny trade a little bit at the beginning of this episode. It wasn't really all that surprising. We were carrying 8 defensemen. Kempny's name had been rumored. We knew we were probably going to be trading at least one of our defensemen. Ends up happening to be Kempny. Now, there's other rumors circling about like Hartman and Wingels and so on and so forth. But we're a week away from the trade deadline. I'm going to wait till the deadline passes before making a video that actually dives into these trades a little bit more. I just think it's going to be better to kind of see all the trades and make a video on it than trying to do it one by one, piece by piece, and just trying to kind of figure out what we're trying to do here with all these deals. So hopefully that works for you. Thanks for watching this episode of Hawks Recap. I hope you enjoyed it. At least I hope you enjoyed it more than the result of this game. Let me know your thoughts on the game and the team's performance down in the comments section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it as always, but most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.